Okay, let's order. Do we have anyone on the, from outside polling it? Okay, not polling it, but one of our members. Okay, so could you please establish a form for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and start with, Commissioner Buckle.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here?
Commissioner Basigi.
Here.
Commissioner O'Reilly.
Here.
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
And Commissioner Nagel.
Here.
We do have a quorum of 6 commissioners present.
Okay, are there any public comments on items not on the agenda?
We do not, currently have any cards turned in, and there are no current, members of the public in attendance. If that changes, I will let you know, but,
Thank you. Okay, so we have probably.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The items for consideration action. Number one, page 2, number 1. The minutes. People had an opportunity to review the minutes. Can I have a motion motion to approve, second? Second, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain. Oh, sorry. Any abstentions? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Is that it? Okay, number 2, the AARP survey marketing plan.
So the main purpose of this one is for, our final ad hoc subcommittee to report out, because we are just about complete with everything, and so, Commissioner Basigi, if you want to share how the presentation went at, Rotary.
I thought it went well. It was very brief, and there was no really meaningful response from the audience. So I suspect, and I asked for them, for their participation, so I hope that they do participate. I'm passing on the word to others in their circle. So that's pretty much the, that one.
So that completes all of the ad hoc subcommittees that we had formed, at least in regards to presentations. Commissioner Dixit had shared, how her presentation went with their cultural exchange group. And at the last meeting, which was in, January, both, Commissioner, Nagel and Commissioner O'Reilly shared how, the presentations went for the lunch groups previously. So those were the 3 outreach, presentation committees that we had.
Thank you.
So just to let you know, on Rotary, because that is such a age-appropriate group, I will say that there have been a number of other presentations or emails that have gone out to the group by Dwani Hurd, by Janine Valadez, also by myself. I put the handouts on the table and was able to get one filled out. So I think Rotary has been filled up with and overflowing with outreach there. I know I went out personally and dropped off information to Bridgepoint Terraces of Los Altos and also Los Altos subdivision, followed up with phone calls. I was with the terraces. I was told that they're somehow, because Dwani is on the Always Active group, and she's putting the word out too. So it's where they had the forums up and they were plastered everywhere, is what she said. So that outreach worked. And then for the pickleball courts, I never did see them. I play there, I put up signs myself in the plastic folders, so. That was my outreach.
My outreach included, the physical therapy at El Camino. Because when I'm there for me, I noticed a lot of my peer group. So I left copies of the paper summary as well as the flyer. I also did that at the YMCA, which is in the same building, actually. It was visible on the front desk for at least a week. When I was there at the Y today, it was not visible. At the hospital, I was able to at least put it on the desk for where people enter and ask how to get to someplace. There were flyers. I did not leave the printed survey itself. In terms of feedback, I have not had much feedback from that. And so I would say that at least the presentation impact that I did is small.
I have a report also. I think we had an issue here because I was supposed to go to Bridgepoint and the terraces and I did.
Oh, good.
So, I gave out the surveys there. I'm working with 2 people at each location. The terraces has 105 apartments with 130 some odd people living there. And it's all, but the part that I went to is residential. So it's all, no assisted living at all on the section that I'm quoting the numbers. So if we get 80% at all, it would really be great. Bridgepoint, I didn't realize that when I went, it's all assisted living. So people are at different, it's all assisted living plus skilled nursing, so there's no independent living there like there is in the terraces. And so it's a different population, but I talked to them and I said, well, if everyone's at a different level, do you have a subgroup of people that live there that are having minimal assistance right now that you think might be able to fill out a survey? And they said yes, and they accepted some of the surveys from me. So I'm scheduled to pick them up next Tuesday. So, yeah, I think the, having the survey tools with you, because I found that most, the people that I've spoken to didn't want to do the computer.
Right.
And if you just, you heard that or something, someone heard? So if you don't have the survey with you, you just have the flyer, you're not capturing, I don't think we captured them as well as we could. I think that we could have had a more detailed plan. I don't know, but I made some mistakes in how I approached it as well. But what can you do now? It's too late, but we'll learn from it and do differently, maybe later.
I think, my neighbors, handed one of these, I've got one back here, but that seems to be better than here's a website.
Right.
Give them something, it's a little more real.
Oh, definitely.
It's a kind of I owe it back to you, they're friends of mine,
Right, yeah. And the ones I gave out at both places had the whole survey attached. So, it's just there and they can just really do it. So, anyway. Okay.
So I know the age group, with the pickleball, some people were doing it right then, and they're taking me back to the beginning. So have you heard any more instances of the survey online being difficult to finish?
Not at the moment. When I was talking to our public information officer, now obviously there are many search engines that you can use. It definitely seemed that for some reason Google Chrome was not as successful, although that's usually one that is optimal for most things. But it seems that some of the other ones were more successful.
They took it from, they scanned the code, they were in the test.
Yes, but depending on which search engine
Oh, I
pops
see.
up that actually, because you could use Safari, you could use Chrome, you can use Firefox. I don't know if Firefox is still around, but there are many other search engines, and so depending on what they have as their default, that could have been a challenge. That's what we were finding, is that Chrome seemed to be a little bit more troublesome for some of the ones that were actually, we were getting feedback from.
We should retest future information gathering on via which browser we're using. And so I think that that's easy enough to do before we're getting good preparation.
And just the AARP survey is one component. We still have quite a few other ways that we will be gathering data. So this is one which, as many of you have reported, lessons learned for things on how we can improve for future outreach.
Chris had her hand up, 1 second. Chris?
So I had the opportunity to physically hand out these questionnaires, and it was much more received, much better received as a handout rather than going into the internet and filling it out. So I did leave the brochures at the library, the History Museum, at Lucky's grocery store, and Walgreens drugstore down here. Each one of those have been very receptive to taking these flyers. So hopefully we've got more responses. Did we get our quota that we need?
So we're almost there. We have 200, and now with the few that Jane has given me, we're at 272, I believe. So we are just about there, and I believe with the ones that we are anticipating getting back from Bridgepoint and the Terraces, I believe we will hit the 300. So between everything, hard copy was still only 40 to 45 of the 272. So a bulk of the feedback that we're getting is still being received via online submission versus the hard copies.
It's actually good, it's much cheaper because there has to be a step now about data entry. So, that's expensive. So anyway. Well, I want to commend everyone for their hard work, and it's a lot to do it really. And, to think up your strategies and get out there and do it. And I think, we did pretty well for the first time around. I'm really proud of everybody. I think it's great. And thank you so much for your participation. Okay, so, let's see. Are we up to the work plan?
So the first part, and it is going to segue a little bit, but the number 3 is specifically to look at and finalize your work plan. The commission is scheduled, we will be having a joint meeting with City Council. I do have the date, but not the finalized time. Once we get to item number 4, we can do a little bit more in-depth discussion there. But for the work plan, this should be representative, and from the conversation at the last meeting, we did update the work plan to represent the pieces that were mentioned at the meeting. We can continue with those and adjust and amend as needed, but again, the work plan should be representative of items that the commission would like to work on for this term specifically, so that is through basically September of this year. And so, because the term is October through September. So the other thought, when we were touching base with Vice Chair Cohen, is that, again, the big part here is that there are no standing subcommittees. We do have the ad hoc because there's a specific start and end. But it should be focused on tasks, specific tasks that you would like to achieve. Now, the overall goals, if the commission feels comfortable, you can still have the framework of listing the 8 domains. Those can just be generalized. We just would not associate a specific standing subcommittee that would be tied to specific domains. Essentially, it's that ad hoc subcommittees would come into play when you identify a specific task. And you can identify which domain that goes into. So if that is the framework that the commission would like to keep for the work plan, we can create those 8 domains, and then we are just specific on the projects or tasks. And it is at that level that we can assign ad hoc subcommittees as needed, depending on timing.
Would you like to discuss this still?
I spoke with Annabelle Pelham. She called me to let me know there was a specific person who would be leading the cafe-led interventions with the focus
The
groups.
focus group?
But we are, as a commission, supposed to record or at least take notes and present these notes to the cafe group and this woman who hasn't yet spoken to me. Certainly, that is an ongoing task. So that would automatically be part of the calendar 2024 work plan.
Bill, are you addressing the option that we have right now that's kind of on the table that Jamie explained about that we're gonna change, the structure right now is changed completely. So it's just, you know, picking topics and then getting tasks under the new topics. Our choice is to stay with the 8 domains and then have, it's not, we won't have set subcommittees under that. They'll be fluctuating and fluid, but we'll have specific tasks that we have to do. And then people that want to work on that task, you know, will be assigned to an ad hoc committee that's not permanent. So,
I think that the process with the groups getting the most frequently need is going to determine what domains the activities are going to be in. Activities in the sense of the questionnaires, or the information gathering and the preparation for the report. So I don't know whether this is horse and cart issue or not.
well, I'm trying to explain, did you look through the packet? Did you look through the packet?
Yes.
Okay, so the work plan that was developed at the last meeting, it's in here.
Or Vice Chair Cohen, if I can interject, I think, at least my interpretation of what Commissioner Buckholz was putting forward, we used to have the 8 domains, and then there was, the overarching recertification. I think one of the tasks, which would be assigned, it wouldn't necessarily be an ad hoc subcommittee, but I am envisioning that the task is the note-taking, which is what you had brought up. That could be a specific project under recertification. That would be assigned to the whole commission, because that was the anticipation and what was put forward in the contract with CAFE, that the senior commission would support in that fashion. So I think that would be a specific project under that specific goal.
So I think, I'm not sure that everyone's clear on it, but so the issue is, do we want to have a new structure? So the picture on the far left, and then, which the work plan that I looked at, from what I could see, there were 2 things in the far left, and then there were some tasks over on one of the other columns. And, our opportunity, if you so choose to accept it, is that we could go back to the structure of the 8 domains and put the tasks in each domain and with the ad hoc committees that aren't permanent, but they're focused on one of the domains. We don't have to do that, but that's an option that we have now that we didn't think we had before. So, what do people think about that?
I think what she said makes a lot of sense. Just basically divvy up the tasks according to the logical topography, and then we assign them to the ad hoc committees and declare them finished when they're done.
And at the moment, in your packet, we do still have recertify. And again, one of the projects was the AARP survey outreach, which all of that has been completed at this point, which is why we have January and February, because those have been completed. We can add tasks as needed. From the last meeting, the additional goals that we had added was improve senior transportation options. That could be a project under the goal, which could be the 8 domain of transportation. The other one, which was support that one of Commissioner Buckholt's suggestions was to support and enhance community connections. And then the other one was to collaborate with 50+ staff to increase participation. So those ideas can easily be put as projects. And so increased participation, there was a specific domain in regards to social, I'm not, the exact title of the domain is escaping me, but yes. And then community connections, we can determine what the best domain to list that in. And then add as the commission sees fit, depending on where discussion and direction goes.
How do other people feel about it? Anybody have any comments? It's hard when you're to understand because it's new, so it's really new.
If the question is, should we organize it according to the 8 domains, there's no reason not to, because there could be additions to that that need not be in that model. So what's not to like?
Exactly.
The other point I'd like to make is in the action plan, with the way the action plans are presented, they're presented in the domains. So it kind of keeps us on the same track. So some domains, you know, the cities do great, and other domains they're not doing as well, and that's where their goals are focused, to improve those domains that are not up to par. So anyway, I just wanted to add that.
I think that makes it clear.
Are there other topics and specific to projects or tasks that you would like listed? Obviously, we have the few that were mentioned at the last meeting, which was about community connections, increasing participation, and transportation options. Are there other projects or tasks that you wanted to identify to add for this draft to be? And again, this can be, it will be a living document as we continue in the process. So there will be additional tasks added, but with the caveat that this is what will be presented to City Council for this point in time of what you're anticipating.
Yeah.
I am still concerned about the harder to reach population. People who are not inherently on the internet, people who are socially isolated, which is an existing domain. And I don't know. I mean, I'm oriented toward health issues. So getting everybody, certainly everybody over 55, I guess, needs to be vaccinated periodically. We need to renew our vaccination annually for COVID, probably every other year for RSV. Flu is every year, but making sure that the people who are harder to reach, that we have to have a system for recognizing these groups and where they are. So the assisted living group, we can locate because they have specific residences. But other groups, and I don't even know how they would be named. Certainly, hygiene, which is preventive medicine, needs to have everybody included. In fact, does everybody here have their vaccinations?
I know.
What? Yes. Well, I can get next.
Otherwise you can't serve on the commission, right?
So I have a question, clarification from you tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think that City of Los Altos and the neighboring communities and health facilities are not doing sufficient job to reach these people? Therefore, we as a commission need to concern ourselves with adding effort over and above what they're doing?
I think that probably there is a very small unreachable group. And is the juice worth the squeeze? I tend to be prejudiced on human life. So I'm going to say that even in getting a couple cc's in the jar is important to me.
More is always better.
Pardon?
More is always better. The question is how much effort and how do
Yeah,
you
again, it's
extend that effort to reach them?
cost benefit analysis, how much energy and money we have to reach easy to get to people, which will be the vast majority. Population for Los Altos is 30,000. So if we can get 29,500 in the easy to reach, then I think that the resources by common standards has to go to that group. Because utilitarian ethics says the greatest good for the greatest number of people.
And there's a domain about the health.
Right.
There's a domain about the health, or health things we
Yes.
fit into it. We were pretty hard on that during the
You and I
pandemic.
will be talking about that.
Okay, anybody else want to comment on?
I'm just thinking forward because of the work that we're doing now, trying to figure out our 45-year-olds in 10 years, in our 55 years. And so hitting them up or at least educating them to understand this also includes them. And I don't think when you're living life and you're out and being productive, if you want to say, going out and exercising, are out socializing, you don't think of these things. So maybe part of this is also might not reach the 45-year-olds because at this time of the 55, but the 65 to think ahead. Okay, when you are 75 and you're not at the same level of living as you are now, what is it you want? What can the city provide you? And how, so instead of now, we're thinking 10 years ahead, what is it? Because our citizens are going to continue to age. Whether or not they can afford to move out of the area, that just means our average age is going to raise, right? And so we need to educate those folks as well and understand where their needs, where do they think their needs are?
Chris wanted to make a comment.
So I agree with you in that position, and I think those folks who are the senior group, who are the reachable, or the ones that are secluded, haven't thought or even in their mindset that they're going to get out and do things. They just don't think that's within their scope. But it's true, those of us, or those of them who are in 65 to up that, who are out and about, need to know that these things are available for them, and that they need to grow with this idea that they can grow into these services. So I really like your point on that.
And the service is to grow with the people.
Yes, definitely, yes.
And
And really,
we're gonna be going at 85 and lifting 100-pound, deadlift, so yeah.
yeah, the program is the 50+ program, so anyone 50 or above can fill that out. And generally a 50-year-old person is very similar to a 45. Not similar to a 65, let's say, 15-year spread or a 5-year spread. So I like the notion about that, but we're trying to capture them, and when we get the data back, it's gonna be stratified by age group, so we'll see. I don't know if we can make giant decisions about it, but we're gonna, because this is only, the data that from the survey is only one part of it. We're gonna focus groups, we're gonna have other stuff to make assessments over, so. But yeah, I think that's an important point. Thank you.
Is there any agreement on the number that we choose to talk about recertification? Is it 50 on up? Is it 55 on up? Is it 65? And I know that it's arbitrary, but is there any agreement amongst the commission what number we should use for the bottom? 120 is the top.
Okay, we'll set that.
That's not scientific.
Today ARP set the number at 50.
I don't know where that came from.
Because we actually picked the 50 before we were gonna even do this, so.
That might be a question that I follow up with Cafe on, because there are we have different definitions even within, because as an example, our city program is 50+. But the contingent upon what is Cafe's definition versus AARP's definition, the idea behind recertification is, again, to have the resources within a community to allow a community to age in place. And so whether that is going from 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60 and upwards, the idea is that we do have those resources in place to allow that at each of those milestones. But again, each of the different program areas, or, depending on kind of whether it's the city or AARP, that'll be a question that I'll pose for Cafe, at least seeing what their experience has been. Because I know they're working very closely with San Mateo County at the moment. And working with many of their cities. And so I know even the consultants that we're working with are currently working with several of the cities in San Mateo County. So it'll be interesting to kind of know that part. So I will follow up and report back to the commission.
If anything else, take a poll of the cities in Santa Clara County, what bottom number that they would like to use. So consistency is at least a way of making sure that all the things that we print out have the same group.
It's been several years, although I'm a resident of Milpitas. Milpitas is, at least with the city program, is similar to ours, which is 50 and above. So again, it'll be, as you mentioned, it might be good to understand where some of those different bottoms fall.
I'm gonna look at the action plans, because I think I have Palo Alto and Sunnyvale, that's in our county for sure. And I think 1 or 2 are out, right, 4 of them. See what they did with their graphs and everything. We'll know their starting age from the data, how they present it.
Jane,
Yes.
it's a little hard to hear you.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Soft voice. Can we have a hard voice?
I said we can also look at the action plans that we received And I have 4 of them, Palo Alto and Sunnyvale are in our county, and we can just see from their data and their outcomes, what age they used. It's gonna all be in the report, so I'll take a peek at it. Sorry, I was speaking lowly. I didn't mean to do that. Jim?
I just wanted to ask a question. Is there a Santa Clara County guideline that we can use? Is there anything available from the county? Because there are for most areas of the concern, Santa Clara has some kind of guidelines. You know, so I suspect maybe there is one for this one too.
We do have the outreach, which, Bridget actually did, during the, pandemic. We did actually outreach many of the Santa Clara County cities. Did slightly different processes, and some were in similar, timelines as ours. Some had not started or had completed theirs. But we can go back to that and, follow up with that information.
Makes a lot of sense, but I think just in a way, that's more or less chiming on what Bill said.
Yes.
Make sure there's consistency across the board. The more you're consistent with your fellow communities, the better it is.
No, so there's been a number of other suggestions. Are there any other pieces that the commission would like to add to the work plan? We can incorporate the feedback that has been shared at this meeting. And again, should be representative. Is there anything else that the commission would like to add?
People have been taking notes on all those topics. Can we get a read back on what has been listed?
So the items that we have, again, we're going to adjust, as far as summary goes, we're going to adjust to listing the 8 domains as the overall structure. The current topics that we have, include the ones that were listed previously, which was to collaborate with adult 50+, increase participation, support and enhance community connection. We also have, to look at, transportation options. And then also the overarching one, at the top was to recertify as well. Under the topic of recertification, the, one of the suggestions was to have, note-taking, for the focus groups, which is going to be assigned to the whole commission and not just necessarily an ad hoc subcommittee. We also have, I'll call it education, which was mentioned about education along the resources and how that relates to aging in place. And then we also have the subset that was talked about of the isolated seniors. And so those were the specific topics that were mentioned here in this meeting. Those are kind of the broader project, and then under those, you can identify very specific tasks. As an example, in my head, maybe isolated, those that are in assisted living. Are there ways that we can get information? Those are maybe some tasks in the future that the commission can come up with, but I think we're looking at the larger framework. And so, did I capture everything, Candace?
You did. I do have a draft of kind of what we talked about, but I didn't add all the stuff that you had. I just put the 8 domains into the 8.
Gotcha.
And I think I put in the goals as ad hoc committees, and I think they need to be over in the goals, like improve transportation options need to be a goal instead of an ad hoc committee.
Correct. So we can amend, and make sure that it's representative, but those were at least the main topics that were mentioned, at least at this meeting. Hopefully I captured everything.
Did we talk about Grant Park being upgraded? Would that come under the work that we do? I'm sorry.
That could be, if you wanted to, because there is the 8 domain of outdoor spaces and buildings.
Because they've been working on it.
Yes, that could be one of the sub projects under that domain.
I would vote that definitely be put on the plan.
But we've been not nagging about that for a while. And now something's gonna happen, so we're happy about that. Anyway, okay, so it sounds like you didn't want a motion about switching the structure back, just you felt like there was enough.
That we have the, general discussion if there was, and again, this will be a living document, we will, bring back, and obviously there may be some adjustments once you have your joint meeting with city council as well. But this will be a living document because we will have those goals as you complete things, which the AARP outreach you did complete. So there will be things that will be completed, there will be projects that will potentially be added, but I think we have the general framework that you want to work within.
Did we include establishing a consistent bottom number?
Yes, we can. That was going to be one of my questions back to Cafe, and I can include that at least on the recertification part of it.
Jim, could you repeat that question?
We can't hear back to
Echoes in
you.
this room, and
Yeah, just, is there a smaller room that we can meet in?
You know what, and maybe for the future, while we do have a microphone associated with this room, maybe the next meeting I will bring in the microphones. That might help with audibly being heard.
The question was just, I don't remember what the question was. Anything the bottom number, just that was.
To determine what the
Consistency of bottom number.
Sorry,
we're talking about age limit.
Eight. I'm sorry, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
eight.
Everybody, yeah, everybody else.
The surveys again.
Okay, oh, yeah.
I think that's on your list.
Correct. And so we can add that at least to the recertification
I
point.
feel we're sounding like the senior committee.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, let's see. The next one is the city council joint meeting.
Yep, so the senior commission is slated to have their joint meeting with the Los Altos City Council on February 27th, which is their second meeting in February. The exact time has not been set yet, so I will share that with the commission once I know. The draft work plan that we just worked on is what will be presented. But in preparation, in past joint meetings, usually, and that's what we wanted to put before the commission, is to share things that were accomplished in this past year, and then to have that lead into, obviously, the draft work, and this is what we would like to work on in this upcoming term. So wanted to open it up to see what the commission, just so that you have an opportunity to discuss the logistics of what you would like to present as far as what was worked on over this past year. And then if you wanted to get as granular, if you wanted to designate a specific person, or if you just wanted it to be a conversation. My past experience, sometimes commissions like to designate one person to do at least the brief presentation, or it can be shared amongst all the commission or a few commissioners. It is up to the commission on how they would like to do that presentation. So just a few things to consider.
When does the year end? Would the data collection be in that year of our last year? What days are we talking about for the year?
So the term, it should be from basically October through September. That is your year term as far as what you are looking at.
That excludes a lot of our work time. 22.
And things could be in progress as well. You could share progress report versus it necessarily being completed. So you could do that as well.
And this is the biggest thing you're doing this year, so and this is in progress, so it might be, probably just be open. it behooves us to more or less report on it as an ongoing, project. In the past, always one person presented, and so that seemed to be optimal, but do we think this year might be different?
Not necessarily, it is up to what the commission would like or prefer.
Well, what I was saying is, in the past, there always been one representative from the commission that more or less presented the work
Yeah.
to the city council.
Yeah.
And then the others represent to, they're there in presence to support that. Representative. So I suspect this year, probably should do the same thing.
Shabari probably will do that, and then we'll have one or two other people definitely come to support.
Is she likely not to be there?
I have no idea.
If she doesn't, I think obviously falls on you.
I don't know. Do you know, did she know the date already? Because it came out in the minutes. Did she know the date?
I believe so. I think the other part is my understanding is that they usually wanted at least a quorum of commissioners present, so at least 4. Is there anyone that is unable to attend? Okay. So we can determine, but make sure that we have at least 4 commissioners present. Again, once I have the time, I will share that as soon as possible. Because I believe there are.
6:30 p.m.
It's usually, so my understanding is that it will be before their regular meeting, which is 7 o'clock. So it's usually in the window of 5 to 7. 5 has usually been the earliest that I've seen them go, and then it could be just before. So they're trying to space it out. Like, I believe the Park Commission went this past meeting will be going on the 13th. The Parks, Arts, Recreation, and Cultural Commission. So they are trying to space it out because they used to do 6 commissions, and if you've done those, the senior commission has had the benefit of going first, but then it continues to elongate, and then it sometimes eats into their regular meeting. So I think they're trying to space out so that they don't run into that same issue in the past. So my anticipation is it will probably be between the 5 and 7 time frame.
So when we present the work plan, they're gonna get the work plan ahead of time, right? They get it
Correct.
in their package.
Correct.
So we're gonna redo that back to the other structure that we had?
Correct. It will be the updated structure.
Okay. So once that happens, can you send that to us?
Yeah.
That would be good.
So I have a comment. I think we're getting very close to that date. So my suggestion would be, it might be a good idea for us to find a designee that's going to speak on behalf of the commission today. So I think.
And the other people, how many people?
Preference is that we have a quorum of commissioners, which would be at least 4. If everyone is able to be in attendance, there's nothing that says that not everyone can attend, but we need to have at least 4 commissioners attend.
I'll attend.
And I'll attend as well.
It sounds like almost everyone is available, with the exception of Commissioner McGath.
But I mean, the more important is to present.
No, but we don't know,
Yeah.
we don't know if Shabri will be back. You
So
know,
what
when
I'm trying to say is that today,
If she's not,
if she's not,
You know-
today's
you know-
sick.
if she's not able, we should have
Right,
the next person.
right.
Exactly.
I understand that.
Well said.
I get it.
That's what I meant to.
So I will confirm with Chair Dixit if she will be in attendance, and then if not, is there backup?
Say that
The
again.
backup person.
Who's the backup person if Commissioner Dixit is not available to be in attendance?
I'll do it. For a while.
It has been several years, yes.
Because I did it a long time ago.
Yes, I think the last one that we actually did was probably in 21. I believe it was, or it might have been I might have still been with the library commission, but we might have gone in January of 22. So it's been at least a year and a half, 2 years since we've done, the joint
Would you like
meetings.
me to go off the commission? Isn't it past due? I mean, okay, so I'll be the backup for Shabri. And, Kevin will be coming, and Bill, did you say? Bill? You wanna come, Jim, and Bill? We can all come.
Yeah.
Whoever.
We're here to support.
Very nice.
Yeah, good to have everybody.
It would be really good also, what'd you say?
I'll bring the pom-poms.
We're gonna get a copy of their new goals or something?
Yes.
So that we can have those ahead of time?
Yes.
And send those to us?
Yes.
Are they finished?
The new work
City
plan.
council, the city council goals.
I don't know if they have been fully finalized yet.
Okay.
But no, once they are, we will definitely forward them.
Because we usually, I think we were addressing, yeah, match up a little bit, I don't know. Okay, so, so that's all we know right now, and Jamie will communicate with us as the time comes out, you'll let us know, and then, we'll check on, when is Shabri coming back, do you know the date?
Unfortunately, I do not.
All right, so so I think we're finished with that, right?
That's about as far as we can go. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Grant Park Community Center.
So this item was continued from the last meeting, and so the idea is, to look at and discuss potential amenities or improvements to Grant. It was a call that Commissioner Nagao had mentioned back in the November meeting. It feels like a little while ago. But we have not yet kicked off, budget, season just yet on the staff side. So this would be any ideas or recommendations that you would like to forward to staff, to potentially be considered for the next budget cycle and the next, capital improvement program. So it is open for discussion, and Commissioner Nagao and Commissioner Basiji, you can share information that you have and then open it up to the commission.
All right, so I guess I'm a little confused because our meeting in November, I thought there were some significant things that were going to happen at Grant Park before the end of the year. And I didn't see that. Is that what you're talking about?
No, so this was separated from what is currently on the books, which is the electrical, the hot water, and the HVAC system. That is not, that is separate, because that is already a project. So this discussion was the new ideas.
Okay. So just going back to that, what is the time frame for those items?
No, so that was going to be part of my staff report, but I can do a little bit.
We can go on with the new suggestions.
Yeah.
All right. So what I've got on my agenda is the cover for the patio between the two buildings, hardcover. And I did present those at that meeting and some examples that we were hoping to offer as a good solution. We were also looking at what came up recently was a larger TV screen to be able to use in presentations. Unfortunately, well, just a matter of fact is we've got seniors, and whether it be a visual issue or a hearing issue, the screens that we currently have, and I'm talking about both of the screens there, are not sufficient. So we need a portable one for the large room, and then for the smaller room number three, we really do need a much larger screen for presentations. Last week when we did a presentation there, the audio or the whole system didn't work, so we ended up doing everything as a thermal. So I'm not sure what needs to be upgraded on that. So I think that would be a significant thing we could touch.
I 100% agree. I think those were two items on my list as well. A much better audiovisual system for the site, and also the hard shell cover for the outside.
Does the city council want to get the kitchen down at Grant Park certified or not? Do you know? Because that would go on the list if they do, because then we wouldn't have to outsource all the meals the way we do. And we could, I don't know if you'd rent out that room or not,
Well,
if it would be a source of income.
this is a recycled issue.
Yeah.
Goes back
Well,
at least 6 years.
8 years. Try 8 years.
The cost of doing a complete
Prohibited.
a huge amount of money. They were talking about a warming kitchen, which is a scaled down version of that.
I didn't know, so.
Yeah, that,
Do we have any idea what the life of Grant Park will be? Like, as we renovated here, we tore a building down and rebuilt. Is there anything in the plan looking at something like that?
So that, I think the best way I can provide guidance is you can make, because again, what this is going to be is ideas and recommendations to staff, so that it could potentially be included in the budget process. Ultimately, all of these ideas, we would need to, as far as process goes, we would need to get an understanding of scope, kind of understanding what the end result we would like to achieve. And then looking at estimated cost. And then it would be a prioritization, at least by staff, and then going for, because again, this is one small component out of all the components of projects that the city would be evaluating. So at this point, my suggestion would be to put forward the best recommendations you think make sense. And then, obviously that would have to be weighed and evaluated at the staff level to be included in the budget process. So as with everything, there is, you do have to prioritize, because there is not an unlimited source of funds. So it is maybe looking at, and maybe my best recommendation would be to put forward the recommendations, and then for you as a commission to maybe prioritize what you think would be the best to put forward and then be considered for the budget process.
Question. Yeah,
Yes, Jim.
yeah, in terms of context of what we're discussing here, number one, the commercial kitchen is, we have been talking about it forever and ever, and it's essentially out of the question. Because it costs up over $100,000, and it's not even thought, it may not be feasible.
it's more than that. much
Yeah,
more.
more than that. So that's one area that I remember. The second thing is that the notion of tearing that place down and building a new one is out of our scope. I think that's more, that's a city planning process that has to be addressed. So I think this commission talking about maybe a new facility, in my view, based on what I've been talking about for the past 8 years, that's not really within our purview. So am I right? Am I wrong?
Well, you could always put forward the idea, but whether that would, it would be something that could be moved forward with, that part I don't know, but you could make some suggestions. I don't know how feasible that would be just in looking at the general scope of all the other projects that will most likely be going forward. And so that, trying to balance that with maybe some other recommendations that might be.
Modest.
We're looking for the right terminology though, but again, because resources are finite, at least budgetarily. And so maybe looking at some recommendations that might be and also knowing too that there is a currently funded project is to upgrade the electrical, to, put in HVAC and to also include hot water. That is currently a project already, so that doesn't need to be included in this round of recommendations.
But we're certainly looking at something far in the future, because
Sure.
what with those things being ridiculous to do that and then turn around and talk about tearing the facility down, granted. So with that in mind there, not the kitchen, I understand why the kitchen isn't going to become a commercial kitchen, but a warming kitchen, is that feasible?
Anything is, I think the best thing is put forward what you think would be a benefit, that what you think might be a benefit. And obviously too, there, with any improved elements, you improve service and you can improve what type of programming can be offered. So I think it does make sense to put forward something that you think would be a benefit, because obviously that is within what you're looking at to improve the services to our senior population.
Yes.
We share, the territory of Grant Park with the Parks and Rec, people. I'm just thinking, we have program responsibility, and they have buildings and grounds, I guess, is that how we break it out? And they cross. Maybe, I had a conversation recently, and we're talking about a possible joint meeting with that group to focus specifically on what we're talking about, because I haven't talked with those folks for quite a while.
No, so to that effect, and what you're referencing now at the time, and that was, a result of, there was a specified donation specifically for the Grant Park area that, that we had to work through. And the end result was, that the thought was to possibly do a Grant Park master plan. So a little bit in addition to that, similar to kind of what Commissioner Nagao talked about in the sense of doing the upgrades versus completely, redoing the whole facility. In that same regard, you could singularly look at Grant Park, or you could look at the whole ecosystem of parks and recreation. And I know that is something that the Park Commission is potentially going to be looking at, because the last parks plan was back in 2012, and that plan is now 12 years old. And in the scheme of things, what was relevant in 2012 has very much changed in 2024. So I think the idea was that rather than focusing the efforts in the money on just Grant Park, they wanted to look a little bit more holistically about how everything feeds into each other. So I believe that is something that is potentially coming. And I think that might be part of their, the park work plan as well. So I think that's part of the reason why there hasn't been a specific starting point just for Grant, because I think the idea is that we would like to do a holistic look.
Thank you, Jamie. Bill?
Is it okay for us to ask the commission, city council, given the fact that they're putting money into the utilities of the Grant Park, does this suggest a life plan for those buildings?
And I think that could be a question that you pose at your joint meeting, because obviously that could feed into other tasks or projects that you as the commission can work on. That is something that I can follow up on to see if there is at least a guidance or direction.
You are really good at it.
Your list is growing since.
Thank you. Talks about, you'd mentioned about the capital improvement budget? When is the budget, decided? Or
So timing wise, budget is generally so our city fiscal year starts July first and ends June 30th. And so we adopt a budget each year. And so we're in February. We will probably be kicking off our budget season towards the end of this month, possibly beginning of March. General adoption by the city is usually the month of June, so that it is ready to go as of July 1. I've seen it also go as early as the end of May. It just depends on going through study sessions through council, going through the financial commission. But general time frame, which obviously if council is seeing it then, work by staff is usually done the few months leading up to that. So that's why timing wise for this conversation would be helpful as we go into and getting ready to start.
So then that leads into my second. So in budgetary terms, I know for Grant Park, but what about making suggestions for the collaboration of the 50 plus and getting the population of Los Altos to participate, so it becomes kind of like what Lava has done downtown with the first Friday of getting people even outside of our area to come in, enjoy our city, and it could then become a place for another reason why people move here. So do we come up with ideas for that and say, would like to add money for the budget there, or how does that happen? I mean, it's like,
So
First one to address her.
we do have some of those things, and I think one of the more successful things were the concerts in the park. And they alternated between having them here and having them at Grant Park, and it did draw quite a few people.
a lot of families. too.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And then they become much more familiar with the facility. I think at some of those, we might think about having Grant Park facility open, so people can actually see what's going on in there.
But to have, I guess my point is, even here at the community center, I have friends that are going, oh, I know it's open, I hear it's beautiful. Sure, I have friends that have not been to the community center here.
Yeah.
There's not a draw, there's not, you have it on there's not an activity, you might have it once a month, but that I think is something, if we are wanting to engage our senior population, be able to outreach, get the word out there more than online, because some people don't pay attention, lives are busy, figure out what would work and make it something that they want to be a part of. And that's why I'm asking, is that where we come up with ideas so we make a budget for it and make it presentable?
I think your question is about programming, and this really isn't programming, what we're talking about, it's capital
Budgeting.
capital improvement. So it's programming that would draw people in and bring money in pay for activities.
Is it capital, or I was just thinking this is budgetary, doesn't necessarily mean capital. Am I wrong?
So there's two different areas and, so the agenda topic is specific to, I guess, more capital in regards to the Grant Park facility. But to your question, there is a distinction between, capital, which is usually to our infrastructure versus, and what you had mentioned was a little bit more on the operating side, at least for our programming. And so to your question, I think the best suggestion I have is that if there are ideas to, we could discuss that either with myself or Chris, because there are, I think, programmatic things that we can do within the budget that Parks and Rec has. And then that is separate from the capital improvement program, at least in regards to the money that goes towards improving infrastructure.
Can I ask a question? In regards to what Chris mentioned, the 55 plus is essentially that, in essence, trying to, is an outreach to the senior community to come and take advantage of the facilities here, and I agree with you, there's not enough people coming and using the facility, in my view. That, begs the question about the hours that the facility is open. Is it open on weekends, which is not most of the time? So those are the questions that needs to be addressed. In my viewpoint, there is a forum for that, and that's a 55 plus. And also there's the outreach and education that we have. And we probably should talk about that as a senior commission. More than we have done so far, or we are presently doing to and make people aware of what's here and that they should come and more or less take advantage of it. For example, the notion of having a kind of a coffee shop or cafe here, that hasn't taken hold. I've been talked about forever. That would be more or less in the area of trying to enhance the usage of the facility. So I think that this deserves a conversation by the senior commission at some point about the programming, perhaps. What we have done so far, is it enough? Is it not enough? Can we do more? And what are the items that we can do more? So that's, in my viewpoint, that's an agenda item if might want to think about adding.
That is a perfect segue. So to stay on topic, we should specify, because the topic is specific to the Grant Park Community Center. I would say let's complete that, and then to Commissioner Basici's suggestion, that could be a future topic so that the commission can have, and make potential recommendations to staff.
You were helpful, thank you.
Well, yeah.
So in regards to the budget, is it only it's the year budget, so the programming, it might not come under the capital improvement, but it
would not. It would be
budgeted within the 24-25. So maybe it's a conversation that we have together.
correct.
Okay.
May I make another? Talk a little too much, but in terms of the facilities of Grand Park and what more can be done, in my viewpoint, that deserves a conversation specific to it. We have just touched on two items that Chris and I have talked about in the past. I think there may be more things that should be talked about. For example, lighting and stuff like that. Can we do more with lighting to really pretty the place up, make it more attractive? Those are the kinds of things, in my viewpoint, it deserves yet another conversation within the city commission which we haven't. So do you think we should have one of those before the budgetary cycle starts in earnest?
So that, I guess we can forward the topic to the next meeting if you want to have, but you can have the conversation now unless the commission needs more time to think about and make suggestions. Or am I
When is it due?
There's not a hard deadline, but so our budget process is not started yet. But generally speaking, we are working to create the budget for council review and approval, basically in the March to April timeframe. By May, everything should be in a more finalized position so that they could go through the financial commission and ultimately study session through council and then adoption in June. So this is a time frame you could postpone and have a longer discussion if you like. We can do that for March. I would not recommend going past that though.
Yeah, I have a question regarding programs then. It's what programs or where's the ideas for the direction to really help Grant Park have more programs there. And so that's what, it's almost like what comes first? The lighting, then people can stay longer, or it will be more inviting, it's safer. Families won't feel like I can't find my children because they play hide and seek around the building. or whatever, or do they need something at sunset? Do you want something at sunrise? What has programming come up with? Same thing with the 55 or 50 plus. What programs are coming up that we can then take the ideas or understand, and are there capital improvements that will help enhance and help the programs be more successful? So I think chicken egg on this.
I have two comments. I think we should definitely talk about programming, it's essential, and I'd like to recommend that we keep the programming part of your discussion, that, not the lighting and other things, for now, but the programming, that we defer that to our next meeting, because, or even the meeting, let's defer to our next meeting. Do you think we'll have time? Do you know the topic?
No, I think we could. What we could do is, plan to agendize, and we could, depending on the, commission's, direction, we could combine both of those and have a larger discussion to discuss programming and having that feed into, a potential recommendation for the next meeting.
Let's keep it more robust for both things, or it's a melding things. I had a question about that for the capital improvement. Do we have deferred maintenance, which would include like lighting and paint? Do they paint every few years, or do you know anything about that, or is that something that we should be suggesting?
No, so there is, our facilities team, which is within Parks and Recreation, there is ongoing maintenance. And obviously too, so that goes to, you know, changing out the light bulbs, which I know recently there's, a change from incandescents to LEDs. And so there are components that our facilities team is already doing. So I would say that part of it should not be with the commission, because that is under the purview of staff. The focus should really be on what additional elements versus focusing on what would, I guess, something like that, like painting or changing out of light bulbs and those types of things, which would be under kind of regular maintenance.
Okay, thank you. So are we clear on what we're gonna do? Agendize the topic again for the next meeting vote?
Yeah.
Is there a way we can get a conversation with programs before this, so that way we have an idea of what's coming up and what might be, what they have thought of, and what has been suggested to them too? So that way we're not just starting at ground zero when we come to the meeting.
No, absolutely. And so, obviously, Chris and Bridget would be great resources if one or two of the commissioners would want to sit down and get an understanding of what is currently scheduled or planned. And then that could also help feed into, and that is something that, at least for that discussion, Chris can maybe just talk briefly about what is currently planned, and then that could be part of what can kick off the discussion for the next meeting.
What I do want to also say is, I'm not downplaying the work and wonderful work you're doing, the programs you already have. It's like, how can we help get the word out there to the folks that are 50 and above? What is it they're wanting? How do they need to hear it? How can we help you with that? So you both are doing great. I don't want to, if it came across the other way, I'm very sorry. And let us help you. Let us work together on this. And the only way to do that is understanding where you are, some new ideas that you've had. We can go out and ask our friends and rally them, you know, and help us, let us help you get this thing going. All right, I'm done.
Chris, I was wondering, could we make that an ad hoc committee? The 2 people that would meet, up to 3 people would meet, and then that could fit into one of the domains, so we would be doing both. Would that work?
That's how we've done it in the past.
Yes.
That's what we always have to think of, anything that we do, any little task, whatever we're gonna do,
Yes.
gotta fit into a domain, and it will, because the domains cover everything. It's just which one.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Can you make the motion first, please?
Did you want to create an ad hoc committee? In this instance, and the next one, so a commissioner, if you want to assign, my suggestion would maybe to do just I don't know if it's necessary because we could have Chris do a brief presentation at the meeting to kick off. This is what we have currently programmed and what we currently offer. And that could kick off the conversation. So it doesn't necessarily, unless you want it to happen before the next meeting.
That's what Chris was
I think so we can come prepared.
So you wanna do it this?
Yes. So then, you can create an ad hoc subcommittee.
Who would like to serve? Okay, who else would like to serve?
We could do a single, or it could be.
So Chris and Chris.
Okay.
Okay, Chris and Chris.
So then we need a motion to create that.
I hope that we create the, staff
Ad hoc committee.
ad hoc committee of Chris and Chris.
The commission ad hoc committee.
Will we be meeting with Chris?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
That's a rule here.
Okay,
So
so,
there was the motion.
so there's a motion.
Second.
The second.
Can I second this?
Yes.
I'm on second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for the reminder, Ken.
Oh, yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very robust discussion and very important too. Okay, let's see. So the age-friendly task force. That's it.
So there was a report in your packet. So after discussing with our consultants with Cafe, we are planning to create a task force, which is a combination of, staff members plus the consultants that will kind of meet on a monthly basis and make sure that resources, and information, are really compiled correctly. And so it doesn't have, wording is specific here, up to, because obviously it has to be less than a quorum. So we can have up to 3 commissioners. We can have less, so it could be 2 or it could be 1 representative from the senior commission to serve on the task force to work with Cafe. The only reminder that I have here is that this will be an ad hoc subcommittee. So the individuals that are selected for this could not serve on other ad hoc committees.
At the same time.
At the same time. And the anticipated timeline for this is going to be for the duration of this year. So because the process to do the focus groups to work through the creation of the action plan and presentation will probably take at least 6 to 8 months. So this would be an ad hoc subcommittee that would have a longer duration. So I just wanted to make sure that that was understood by the commission, that if you do serve in this capacity, which is why it can be up to 3, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend that the commission select 3. That would be my suggestion, but it is up to the commission who they would like to recommend and select for this ad hoc.
I volunteer.
I have a question. So the way you presented, it sounded like there were 2 components. There's the first stage where we're doing the focus groups in part, and then then the action plan. So that means that all the data is collected by then if we're working on the action plan. That's what our intention is. And the ad hoc committee will be both components, the whole thing. That's why it's gonna be about a year commitment.
Right.
And it's gonna meet once a month in practice. That's what I think you said.
That is correct.
Yeah, once a month it doesn't.
At this point, it's anticipated that it is once a month. There might be more, depending on what is needed by the group, but general scope is anticipated once a month. That's outside of our regular senior commission meeting. So this would be in addition to.
Blue Cafe, remember we had talked
Correct.
about-
Yes.
So in my viewpoint, the first meeting or so, you scope out the work and you divvy it up and see how many times you have to meet.
Correct, and the information would be brought back to the commission as well.
My understanding, item on our agenda, on our meeting to.
Report outs, yes.
Back.
Correct.
Are we gonna meet up here, or we have to go down, what would happen, where the meeting?
At least our anticipation is that the meetings will most likely be held here at the community center.
In a small room.
Does anybody else want to serve on that? Who else wants to serve?
I just got a text from Annabelle, and the woman's name is Anne. And I have a commitment that, open quote, she will reach out soon, close quote.
Right.
Because we have to, I have been in contact and working with Ann, who is our direct representative from CAFE. So once we know who the commission selects to be on this task force, Ann will reach out.
I have power outage and I have to go get something done before the light runs out. So may I excuse myself?
We still have a quorum, so.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you want to be on the committee? Do you want to be on the age-friendly or
I
the?
was involved in that. So, thank you.
Anyone else besides Commissioner Buckles?
So I'm on an ad hoc already, so I'm done.
I'll join Bill.
I'm into long-term commitments.
Yes.
Stay married.
So Kevin and Bill right now.
Oh,
And could one more person be added if they wanted to?
Yes, if
Want
you-
us to think about it a little bit?
We can adjust if need be. It can be, 3, but no more. So if there was another person that would like to join, but it is with the knowledge that you will be tied up and would not be able to serve on another ad hoc subcommittee for the duration of that project.
I'll do it. I'll be the third.
You?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we need a motion?
you do,
We do.
yes.
I mentioned that we have an ad hoc committee for helping with CAFE,
Age friendly.
age-friendly, with Bill, Jane, and
Kevin.
Kevin.
I second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Staff, Chris, would not exceed the 3.
No, the 3 is only, which Chris is going to be a part of the task force. But, the 3 is specified to commission members. So, we can have as many staff as we want to, just not as many commissioners as we want to. We're limited to the 3.
So now we're moving on to informational items, age friendly.
I don't have a power outage.
I'm sorry.
Meeting at 5:30.
Thank you, George, for coming. Take care. Okay, so age friendly and staff report.
Yeah, so we've talked quite a bit about age friendly, but I will provide, final report out once we get the, once, Commissioner Cohen, gets the, pickup from Bridgepoint and, the terraces. So once we get that, I will give the commission the final count as far as the AARP surveys. And so that is, and that again is just a small component, one component of our recertification process. We will be doing, upcoming, will be the focus groups. And the task force will, assist, the commission will assist in taking notes. Once we get some of those planned, then we will get, additional information out to the commission. But, we are just, starting the journey. We have quite a
Should we have that as a future agenda item? We'll always have that on, won't we?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so the flyers.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and kick us off. The first one that you will notice, is our Family Fun Day, which I will highlight is, this Saturday. So it has a sports spectacular theme. It is from 10 to 1, here at the community center. The Friends of the Los Altos Library are a sponsor, and we always partner with the library as well. Lots of activity, and we usually have anywhere from 500 to 700 people come through. Again, very family oriented, so please let your neighbors, friends, family know that that is an opportunity this Saturday. And then we also are hiring specifically for our teen center to help support those open hours in the Juniper Room here at the community center. And so there's one specifically there, and then also overall, we are still looking for support in our adult 50 plus and adult sports area. We do have, some full-time opportunities here with an office assistant to position. So if you do have individuals that might be looking for employment, part-time or full-time, depending on their experience, go ahead and send them that flyer. They can scan the QR code and get access to anything that, opportunities that are available here in the city. And then with that, I will turn it over to Chris.
Okay, not in the packet, but I did want to just share that programming brochure is available, so you can see what's currently on the menu of all the activities in recreational activities that are available for you to participate in. And I welcome further dialogue about recreation and domains.
And our next activity guide will be available here in the next 2.5 weeks. It should be available here in the center February 20th, which is the Tuesday after the President's Day holiday. So working to get that prepared as well too. I believe that is, and then that is it for the flyers.
Okay, so we have staff or resources.
Yeah, the only additional information I wanted to share is the update about Grant Park. So as far as process goes, what I wanted to share is that we had a project manager start with our department back in December. So he has, his name is Scott Reeves, and he has been with our department just about 1 month, 2 months, 2 months total. And so he is currently working very hard on the Grant electrical project. So as far as timeline goes, we are working to finalize the plans, which will require permit, basically that the plans are approved. Once that happens, then the city will be able to go out to bid to select a contractor to do the work. So as far as process goes, the earliest, and this is just an anticipated timeline, again, because we have not finalized the plans, we have not gotten the permits for approval. The earliest that we would probably anticipate the work for the electrical is probably in the fall timeframe. And that is just anticipated timelines to go through permitting, approving the plans, permitting, and getting a contractor on board. So that once that is completed, then, putting in the HVAC, the hot water should be pretty quick after that, because the electrical is the biggest part of it. But that is where we currently are process-wise. We are working currently with a consultant on finalizing the plans. And Scott is currently, coordinating that along with our facility staff. Oh, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have as far as process goes in regards to the current project that we have.
Will we have air conditioning by summer?
No.
No? Sure.
Because HVAC, the upgrade to the electrical would need to happen first before the system could actually get, the HVAC units in place. And so again, if we are not able to do the electrical until, and earliest is probably the early fall, which would probably be the August, September timeframe, HVAC would be after that. So anticipated for this summer,
Number 25.
yes, most likely, yes.
Thank you. Okay, then, the future agenda, are there any other oral reports? We covered everything, didn't we?
Yes, there wasn't anything additional, and, Los Altos Hills unfortunately was not able to attend today. So that is it for our staff.
Okay, so future agenda items, we always have the work plan, we're adding on, the age-friendly.
Correct. It will be the age-friendly report out. The marketing for the AARP survey will fall off because that has been completed. And then we also have the discussion of programming and facility at Frick Park.
Any other
I
suggestions for
was-
future agenda items?
As part of the discussion of, having people look at our various facilities, we used to rotate this meeting between Grant Park here and Los Altos Hills. But that was before the COVID.
Los Altos Hills, that's right, we did.
But that was before COVID. Now, since COVID, nobody shows up at these meetings. You know, I think Gary was the only one I've seen in 6 months. And he was here 2 meetings ago. And I mean, that was the idea that you would get the attendance, people would get to the other committees. I mean, the other locations to take a look at them. They may not have, ordinarily gone to. But now I'm wondering whether my suggestion makes sense anymore.
The only logistical component to that is that we usually, we have the equipment for the Zoom here. We don't necessarily have the same opportunity at Grant or in Los Altos Hills. I would have to follow up to see if that's something that might be a possibility, but that is, now the dynamic has changed because the online portion is really only for viewing purposes only. There is not the participation option. To participate, you have to be in person, at least to do public comment and things of that nature. So I can follow up to see, but that would be the only limiting factor as far as being able to rotate location. But there is definitely a benefit, but I can look into what are the possibilities.
Thank you. Anybody else have any suggestions? Okay, anything else you want to say? Okay, I'd like to adjourn the meeting and thank you all for coming.
Well done.
Thank you.